Hey everyone, welcome to the Ceres podcast. At Ceres, we really believe that building a better business builds a better industry. The Ceres podcast is here to give you tools, the insights and the stories to help you grow, not just survive, but thrive. Today, our host Mark Petrou is joined by Nigel Hodgson, the driving force behind Hodgsons Chippy in Lancaster. From growing up in a single parent household to winning Young Fish Fry of the Year and Fish and Chips of the Year, one of the few people to do both of those. Nigel's journey is all about resilience, keeping high standards and doing things the right way consistently. This episode is brought to you by Ceres Predus number 2. If you want crispy golden perfection in every portion, this is your secret weapon. It extends your oil life by keeping the flavour inside the product. It gives you perfect batter adhesion every time. And you're seasoned from inside out with a hint of Madagascar white pepper and absolutely no artificial nasties. It's allergen friendly, UK made and packed for freshness. Ready to transform your battered fish? Order now at ceres.shop. And while you're sharpening up your menu, sharpen up your margins too. With our free business suite of calculators, not calendars, calculators, from gross profit to potato yield, labour cost to energy spend, these calculators help you make smarter decisions faster. Whilst you're there, the Ceres blog drops fresh insight every week, practical, no fluff advice to help you run a better business with fresh news that really affect your business. Right, now let's hand over to Mark Petrou and today's guest, Nigel Hodgson.
Nigel, it's really good to have you back. The first time we did this, we had a technical issue. The sound at your end was atrocious, and it's taken probably best part of 6 months to get you back on. But I'm really glad you did, because the first stuff we recorded was gold. I found out things about you I didn't know, and we've been friends a long time, 20 years.
We have.
Maybe longer than that. So thank you for doing this again. Listener, you're in for a treat. I want to keep the intro short because people are here to listen to you, not to me. Start by telling us about your early life, up until the point you met Linda and you worked in her parents' shop. Bring us up to speed. I want to know your backstory before you came into fish and chips, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. So I'm 53 now. I grew up in a one-parent family in a rural village, and back then, I always felt like single-parent families were looked down upon, especially in the small communities. My mum, she had to be both mum and dad, and she taught us some really important life lessons, and I honestly think that's where I got my drive from. That passion to be the very best at whatever I do. I was absolutely obsessed with football as a kid. I played for the school teams, local leagues, college sides, England College. I even spent time with Morecambe FC and Lancaster City. But growing up, I wasn't the kid with the latest gear. I had the Adidas 4-stripe knockoffs, not the real thing. And I had to sell my school dinner vouchers and bus passes to buy myself little treats, things that most of my mates took for granted. So I started working young. I had paper rounds, milk rounds, just so I could afford a proper pair of football boots.
Right.
My journey into fish and chips began at 14. I was the potato boy at the local chip shop, and I loved it. I moved between the two shops that they had, and I eventually became the Frier. I was living on my own from an early age, which was tough. I remember putting water on my breakfast cereal because milk wasn't a priority when money was tight.
So
Go on. Sorry.
I never knew that about you. Although we've spent a good amount of time in each other's company through training schools and stuff like that. I guess it's something that if it never comes up in conversation, you don't really talk about it. Is it something that you never really speak about? Is it something that you came to terms with at a young age, or is it something that you're still sort of carrying today?
I suppose in a way I don't really talk about it because I'm quite a proud person, to be fair, and I feel as though back when we were young, we were frowned upon being a one-parent family. We was the only one-parent family in such a rural village.
Right.
So I think that gave myself, my siblings, we just had that drive. We just had that push just to be the very best at whatever we did.
Do you think that's what's made you or made you strive to be such a great provider and amazing dad? Now, because you are, I mean, I know what a proud family man you are. Do you think that your humble beginnings and growing up in that environment has kind of shaped you the way you are now? Or do you think that's the love of it? Because I know Linda as well. Do you think being with Linda has made that as well, or is it a combination?
I think it's a combination of both, really. I think Linda and myself, we definitely complement each other. But Linda is super grounded. It's quite easy for me to get overexcited, and she can just pull me back, just re-ground me. And I think we work really, really well together. She's a great mum, and yes, I feel
she's
as
lovely.
though
She's a lovely woman. Yeah, I've known Linda almost as long as I've known you, and you are very much a double act. There's you're the she. If you're Batman, she's Robin. You are a great double team. So you could have been a pro footballer, which I learned from the first podcast because I think you sort of went a bit more into that then. You were very talented, weren't you? And you chose fish and chips over football, didn't you?
I had to, yeah, because when I was when I left college, because I went to college to study sport, and that's when I was playing for England colleges, and I was playing for Morecambe at the time. But then I went into fish and chips at the age of 18, which is where I met Linda, because I went to work full time in her mum and dad's fish and chip shop. And I couldn't.
Colston Road, isn't it?
Colston Road, yes. It was called Barham Chip Shop, Colston Road, but I had to work Saturdays.
Yeah.
I had no choice. So financially, I made the decision to stay with fish and chips.
Yeah.
Because I just could not have Saturdays off.
Well, you lifted the World Cup in fish and chips anyway.
I did.
And I know that later on in life, and we will come to it. You're still as fit and capable at sport as you were then, because I know you still do a tremendous amount of running. But we'll come to that later on.
Yeah. So I did mention that I went to college. And I'll never remember, it was my 18th birthday and I was in a PE lesson. I went back to the changing rooms and all my clothes and my football boots were stolen. I was absolutely distraught. I'd saved up for those football boots. I had no more money. So I went to work that night at the chip shop and I spoke to Chris because he knew I was upset. Chris was the boss.
Yeah.
And he promised to buy me a new pair of football boots, which he did. And I'll never, ever forget that. He was such a generous man. And I'll never forget that gesture. He was super kind.
Sometimes you meet people along your journey that do these just these small random acts of kindness, and it sticks with you. I had a similar thing happen to me. Somebody lent me £200 when I was in a really dark place, and they didn't really know me well enough to lend me that money, but they did, and and I paid them back, and they got my loyalty for for time immemorial for them.
Yeah,
It
which
was,
I think there are really, really nice people out there, and it was such a nice gesture. And he's still in the trade. And I
really,
have been to his fish and chip shop and trained him, and I will train him as long as he ever wants me to.
yeah,
His knowledge is amazing. However, sometimes he just needs little tips,
yeah,
and I'm in debt to him.
yeah. Well,
I just think it was really nice.
I think football's loss is the industry's gain, because as you're going to come to tell us, it that job with Linda's parents in Colston Road was just the start of it. That's where it did. That's where you met Linda. I guess like you were the spud boy and she was the boss's daughter. How did that work out?
It didn't start off too great, to be fair. We slightly clashed at the beginning. I thought she was a bit of a spoilt one, to be honest. She was very privileged, but we soon hit it off, and we started seeing each other fairly quickly, in all fairness. And we got married in '96, and we've been married now for 29 years.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So
Three amazing children.
So you how did you go from Colston Road to Prospect Street, which was your I guess it was the biggest step for you, because you had a lovely house by the time you moved there with Linda, didn't you? And you had to sell it to buy
We did.
Chippy.
Yeah. So Prospect Street, we made a move on it. We agreed the sale, but to successfully buy it, we had to sell our house. It was our family home. We had David and Sally then.
Yeah.
So the house sold very quickly, and we had to move into Prospect Street, but live above it. That was horrendous for Linda and the children. I found it really easy because I only had to come downstairs when I was at work.
Yeah.
But it was really, really tough. It's only a 2-bedroom terrace.
Yeah.
We gave the children a bedroom each, and we slept in the storeroom. That's where we put our bed, and that's how we lived.
It's surprising. I've been very privileged to do a few of these podcasts now with previous winners, and the humble beginnings that we've all come from. It's the amount of people that have had to live above their shops, or to make these sacrifices for their business. It almost seems like a passage right, doesn't it? That you've got to throw in everything to make it work. But you actually did. You had your dream home, and you had to put that on the line to go out on your own. And it was one of those make or break moments. But Prospect Street's been a really fantastic shop for you, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. And like I say, honestly, it was an easy decision for me. It was such a tough one for Linda because she had the escape of the house, and that was her home with the children. But and we only had one bathroom then. So when the staff needed the toilet, she had to take the kids out of the bath,
Really?
let them use the toilet, and then put the kids back in the bath. It was a sacrifice, but we were willing to do it, and thankfully it's paid off. When we moved in, it was a Wednesday, and we didn't open lunch then. Obviously, it was on the previous owner's opening times, and we opened at 4:30 on the Wednesday tea. It came to 4:15, and the previous owner was with us, and me and Linda looked at each other and we said, "We haven't got any money. We haven't got any money for a float." And we didn't have any money, and so the previous owner, he lent us £60, so we had a float. Wow. And that's how tough it was. But we really didn't. We scrimped and scraped and so made it. Yeah. We borrowed from Linda's mum and dad, and we borrowed from my mum, just several thousand, but thankfully they lent us it, and obviously we've paid them back, and it's become a great success.
Yeah, you never forget that, do you? You never forget, where you come from when it, because things, although they were the good old days, when you look back, it's it really does. It sticks with you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. And our story, we really did it the hard way, in my opinion. There was no shortcuts. There was no safety net. And in a way, I think it's made us stronger. And it's definitely it's pushed us harder. And I think that's probably why at times we have been successful, because of the drive.
Yeah.
I do.
So when you went in, it was about 1998, wasn't it?
It was.
You bought. How much was fish and chips? Do you remember?
It was less than a fiver. Oh, it was less than a fiver. I can't remember exactly. I've got the original photos.
Have you?
Yeah. I've got all the photos. We've got a treasure chest with all of everything in it.
You've kept all your clippings and stuff.
Absolutely,
well,
yeah.
Linda hasn't changed. You've filled out a little bit, not much, but I mean, you're still just as handsome.
I've gone up a dress size, maybe 2.
So Prospect Street, it's not on a main road. It's not one of those shops that people have to seek you out. And I've been lucky enough to come to your place a couple of times, and I'll tell you what I think makes you wonderful in a little while. I'm not going to do it just yet, but it is very much a community local chippy. It's not one of those flagship fish and chip shop emporiums that it's on a busy road. It's on a main. It's actually, is it a one-way street? Prospect
It is.
Street?
Yeah, it's a one-way street.
It's a one-way street, and so was putting yourself on people's radar, winning awards, and putting you on the map part of your strategy when you bought it, or did you just think, if we're good at what we do, people will find us, they'll seek us out? What was when you went in there? Did you have a strategy, or was it just like the shop that you fell in love with it and you wanted it? What was the driver? What made you choose this shop in Prospect Street
when we bought it? It already had a fairly decent reputation. It was one of the busiest in the town, but we always wanted to improve. We wanted to make it busier and busier. So, and I wanted to educate. Without sounding arrogant, I wanted to educate the people of Lancaster. Every time they thought of fish and chips, they thought about us.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted them to do, and thankfully it paid off.
Well, you've done it. You've done it in spades. So within 2 years, you won Young Fish Frier of the Year.
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
What was that? Just part of your ongoing commitment, constant improvement, because I know you, the listener doesn't know you as well as I know you. I know just how particular you are. I have to say, I might as well say it now, I don't know anyone who is as particular and as committed and dedicated to consistency and having, you've just got you've got your ways of doing things, and you're so good. You're so good at it. That's what makes you a great consultant and trainer when you teach other people. What was the rationale from 1998 to winning Young Fish Frier of the Year in 2000? Was that already you? Were you already that guy anyway, or talk me through it?
Well, when we took the shop in 1998, which was the 1st of July, the first thing we did within several months was get the quality award. We applied for the NFFF. We got the quality award, which was a real grounding award. It gave us a bit of an insight to the standards
wasn't it sea fish then? Was that a sea fish thing? The quality.
Sorry,
originally?
it was.
Yes, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It sea fish.
It was
Yes.
sea fish then. Yeah.
Yes, it was sea fish. Yeah, so it was the quality award.
Yeah.
That's right. The Entrevolette took it over, didn't they?
That's right.
Yeah. So so then I entered Young Fish Frier, and thankfully, the age limit then was 30, because I was 28. So and it was several stages. It was a questionnaire, and then we had 3 judges that came to the shop, which was Briar, Kelvin, and Michael Peely.
Wow.
Gosh, that was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. And
you mentioned the name Mike Peely, and your blood turns cold, doesn't it?
yeah, and there was just no escape because there was 3 judges, and I was frying. Then I was into the kitchen answering questions. Then I was doing prep in the prep room, and sometimes if there's only one judge, you can think, oh, I'm just going to have a breather. I'll just go and do a little bit of frying, but one of them would follow you.
Yeah.
So it was really, really intense, and but I did very well, and progressing from there, we went to the NEC because it was the skills show. So then we had to exhibit at the skills show, and that was a 3-day event, and we cooked for hundreds, maybe thousands of people, fish and chips, because there was a frying range there, and I was presented with the trophy then on the 3rd day.
Amazing.
So it was huge. It was absolutely huge, and Linda came with me. She supported me. So it was a massive event, but that really, really put us on the map. Did the Young Fish Frier?
Yeah, it's good for business, and that's when I met you, when you were Young Fish Frier of the Year. I remember meeting you. You were on my radar once you'd won it, because everybody wanted to. I wanted to be you. And my manager at the time, Ian Kilby, won Young Fish Frier of the Year after you. So you gave him your trophy, and I met you in Harrogate.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was the first time I met you. But you cultivated a great relationship with Briar then, didn't you? As I did every Young Fish Frier. Got to know Briar, and what an amazing woman she was.
She was such a lovely woman. She was the fish and chip queen, in all fairness. And we've got some amazing memories with Briar. Amazing memories. She was a lovely woman. Yeah, she just had that ability just to bring the best out of you. Yeah. Just by being around you, she just gave you so much confidence.
Yeah, she really was maternal to all Young Fish Friers, and I think if you talk to anyone that entered Young Fish Frier in the time that she was alive, look, Zohab, Callum, the Frisco brothers, your Paul as well.
Yeah.
Ian, who worked for me. Everybody felt her genuine warmth and knowledge and support for Young Fish Friers. She didn't just organise and run the Young Fish Frier of the Year because it was good for dry white. She did it because she knew she was ploughing something back into the industry.
Yeah.
And any opportunity I get to honour her is it's a privilege, because she really was a lovely woman. You've got a manager who works with you for you called Paul Eden, and he won Young Fish Frier as well. And you were the first shop to have 2 winners of Young Fish Frier of the Year working in the same shop. I know other people have had 2 winners since, but you were absolutely the first, and that couldn't have been bad for business either.
No, it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so that was 2005 that Paul won it. We are super fortunate to have Paul as the manager, and I'm fortunate enough as well to be his best man. It's
brilliant.
Yeah, I feel really, really privileged that daily I can work alongside my wife and alongside one of my best friends. I think it's really cool. Yeah.
And you won Fish and Chip Shop of the Year in 2005. Again, the year before I won it. So, I feel as though when you're done with something, you just give it to me.
Just pass the baton.
I'm done with it. Petrou can have it now.
Yeah.
What an amazing thing to, in 7 years to go from, starting out on your own. Obviously, you cut your teeth working with Linda's parents. They must have given you a good sounding, a good some underpinning knowledge, and a good start into the trade. But within 7 years, you'd climbed through the Premier League and and taken the top, the highest honours in the industry, which is it says a lot. It says a lot. How was that for you? Obviously, it must have made your mattress a little bit thicker.
Yeah. What a year that was. Immediately trade went up 40%, which for the size of our shop was a lot. To be fair, you don't retain that, but we definitely retained a good 25% of it. But it just opened so many doors.
Yeah.
It really, really did.
What was your strategy going into that? Was it the first time you entered? Had you entered it before?
No, sorry. Yes, we had entered it before. We'd entered it. I think that was our second time of entering. The first year, we learned, we got the feedback, and then we entered again. And thankfully, we did really well that year, really well. And the feedback we got, when we was getting the mystery shoppers, the in-house judging, we were scoring 100%. We had a super year that year. Everything just fell into place, and we'd put an extension at the back of the Prospect Street, which extended our prep rooms. So we was capable of going up 40% and coping with it very efficiently. Because I like to, when we're busy or when we're quiet, I like to run at a very, very easygoing pace. So the staff will get the best out of the staff. It's not hectic. It's a nice working environment, and to do that, you've got to be organised. And I think the judges could see that.
Yeah. Had you moved out by then, or were you still living in above Prospect Street when you?
No, we'd moved out. So we'd moved out of the of Prospect Street, I think, in 2001. I think we'd done it for just over 2 years. We'd saved enough, thankfully, for a deposit for a house, and then we just moved. We was only a mile away. But that was a blessing, to be honest with you. It was needed at that point because we was getting much busier. There was a lot more stock going into the storeroom, which was our bedroom. It was tough, but thankfully we got the home then.
So when you won Fish and Chip Shop of the Year, the temptation is to start opening more and more shops, and to grow your business. But you've always been you've always focused on doing the job so well. When I came to visit you, I was just so impressed. And this was before you and I started working together at the KFE Frying School. I just got the sense that your practices and ethos were one that made it very difficult for a customer to choose anyone else. Every piece of fish looked identical. The customer experience when you come into the shop was just everything. There just seemed to be an order to everything, and that comes obviously from you or you've learnt it somewhere. But your menu is it's not the biggest menu. You just do everything right, Nigel. And where does that come from? What you know what I want I want to dive deep into your practices and your ethos and your strategy, so the listener can get an idea of what what goes on between your ears to make your shop tick and run the way that it does. Because um, it's it's a really well oiled machine. Your Chippy, I love it to bits. Where does that come from?
The I think well, I think probably I get some of the genes from my mother. To be fair, her attention to detail is impeccable. But I do that in everything I do. It's not just at the chip shop. It's whatever I do in life. I prefer to do things right. I can't abide cutting corners, and I don't agree with it. So I try and, especially with Prospect Street, I try and design things. I try and make practices the best that they can be, but make them very easy to follow as well. Um, the, if I'm teaching anybody, whether it's at Prospect Street or whether it was the KFE training school, or if I'm training on site at somebody's shop, I strip it back, see where the problem is, and we progress and we iron those issues out, and then it becomes easier. A lot of the time, I don't create jobs. I probably shorten them in a way.
It's almost like in your shop, you don't give customers a reason to go anywhere else. The service is always brilliant, the food is always brilliant, the shop is always brilliant. So when somebody comes in, there's no excuse or no reason for them to go away and be disappointed in any element of what you do. And I wondered where that comes from. Is it that is that a bit of you? Because I know from the time we've spent as trainers together, you have this discipline that obviously filters down into your workforce, and this ethos. And what I'm trying to unpack for the listener is, you know, to get inside your head and see or understand where all of that comes from. Because your shop really, it doesn't have the biggest menu. It's you're so very good at what you do, and I know you got that, some of that from your schooling, but where, explain to me where it comes from, because it's I wish I could be that good.
Well, for a start, it's definitely in me. I always strive to be the best at whatever I do. And I just can't abide cutting corners. If something's just not right, or I can't get something right, then let's strip it back, and let's see where the problem is and build from that. I can identify a lot of problems, but I can also mend them as well. I'm a bit of a problem solver. If there is an issue, I think that's why I really enjoy the on-site training, going into people's shops, seeing where the issues are, getting in there early doors, doing the prep with them, and then you can start identifying issues and putting little repairs in, putting little plasters on things. And
so after you'd accumulated quite a few accolades, because you won a lot of local awards for your fish and chips as well, you decided to turn your attention to training, because you didn't follow the path of becoming a multi-site operator and opening 10 more shops or anything like that. You actually put a lot of your energy into putting stuff back into the industry. Maybe that came from Frier, but you set up the KFE School of Frying Excellence for Paul Williams, and I was lucky enough to be asked to come along as a trainer as well, and Gordon Hillen, and you were at the KFE school for a decade, 10 years, teaching new people how to start their fish and chip journey, and also getting experienced operators back in to help them sharpen up their skills as well. And that's when I really came to understand just how particular you are about every element of what you do in your business, and that's what I'm trying to get across to the listener, because you are this person, even though I'm the one that's using more words to explain it. You are very, very particular, and you've been with Gordon today, but not just to any old, anyone coming into the new, into a new business. You've been to the Fishworks at Large today in Glasgow, training Ross and Tiffany, who are, let's be honest, they're damn fine operators. They've come second twice in Fish and Chip Shop of the Year the last 2 years. And you're up there training these guys, working with these guys, helping them be even better than they already are. And they're lucky enough to have 2 previous winners, and I wasn't there. I love working with you and Gordon, but how do you get a gig like that? What was that like?
I've been friends with Ross and Tiffany for several years now. I've been to the Fishworks. This was my 3rd visit, and I just love going to that business because Ross and Tiffany are so passionate about that business. I suppose in a way they remind me a little bit of Linda and myself, because they've got a young family. However, they've got a thriving business, and they're definitely wanting to win that Takeaway of the Year award, and they are deservedly winners, in my opinion. They serve such a great product, and they're always investing into that business. Last year they put a brand new wall range in, I'm not sure how many pans it has, but I think it's got maybe 7 or 8.
Crikey.
It's just a beautiful piece of kit, and to watch them work it. When I was there today, I think there was 6-7 members of staff on, and it's just beautiful to watch. It's absolutely a dream. And now they've started doing investing into another potato prep room, which is just going to be out of this world. So the lucky people in Largs that go and visit that shop, they can see the potato prep being done, and then they can visually see the food being fried and cooked and served. And it's such a beautiful location, and training people, helping people, it's something that I absolutely love, and I suppose that's what really, really drives me. So when going back to 2010, when Paul Williams approached me and said, look, we're thinking of doing a training school, do you want to get involved? I jumped at it. Yeah. I absolutely jumped, because it was the training element that I really enjoy. So I wrote the training manual, we designed the school. Thankfully, yourself and Gordon were on board. I think he was already on board by that point. And we did 10 years together.
Yeah, it was great. We had some laughs as well, didn't we?
We did have some laughs, yeah. Yeah, he was Mark. I've got to say, working alongside you and Gordon, it was an honour, and I used to pinch myself sometimes just being part of that world. The students we used to teach, quite a lot of those students have gone on to win national awards.
Yeah.
Restaurant of the Year, Takeaway of the Year. They've come through that door, and we've taught them. We have spent 2 days, done a 2-day training school with them.
Yeah.
And they've gone back to their premises, put some of those tips and skills into place, and developed off that.
Gordon and I would say the honour was ours to work with you as well. But it was I never stopped learning, and they were good times. You taught me so much about consistency, and the need for consistency, and I remember let me get it right. adopting adopting so many things that you did in your business, even down to some of the leaflets on how you promoted your low fat content, and how you added value to what you do to your customers. Just the little flyers and handouts and stuff were just, they were really powerful and really useful. And also it has a massive effect on your bottom line as well. When you are maximising your yield from your fish cutting, you're not as wasteful. The customer experience is always the same, time after time after time. A customer comes in on a Monday night or a Friday daytime, and their product's always the same when they come to your shop. It's always the same. You've got people waiting for food, not food waiting for people. All of these things that you do in your shop that's just your standard. Every one of them's pure gold for anyone coming into the trade to learn. And you went from the KFE school to actually work with Frier as an ambassador, teaching people how to manage their oils. And I do think that managing your frying medium is such an important part of being consistent as a fryer. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Training, in my opinion, is vital. The correct type of training, and consistency is key. The correct type of training, it protects your margins, it gives you great yield, it maximises consistency, and it definitely protects your standards and your business. So that's why I just really thrive and enjoy the training side of it, because if we can just get it right, then that business will start thriving and it'll become consistently great. So
the stuff that you've done with Ross and Tiffany today with Gordon, that was how did that come about? Did Gordon ask you? Did Ross invite you both up, or is it just an ongoing thing? I mean, I just want to know because I want to get involved.
I spent quite a bit of time with them last year, and watched them develop. But in all fairness, they was already at a great standard. That business is outstanding, and their passion is wow. And the energy that they have is just they should be ambassadors for this industry. They really, really should. Yeah. I was in the area anyway, in all fairness, because tomorrow Frimax held a competition to have a Frimax ambassador there for the day. So tomorrow I'm near Glasgow, a place called Wimms Bay, a fish and chip shop, and I'm training them for the day. Brilliant. And that was their prize. So I'm going there in the morning. So I thought, well, whilst I'm in the area, I'll tie up with Gordon, Ross and Tiffany, and we've had a good day, to be fair. Yeah, it has. It's been super.
Well, I've asked Ross and Tiffany on the podcast, and they've agreed to come on. Don't know when that's going to happen. Share with the listener what you said to me off camera when we weren't recording, because you said something about if you came up against them in competition. What did you say?
Yeah. So when we won in 2005, I thought we were flying. We were super sharp. But I am so grateful that we were up against operators like Ross and Tiffany, because I think the competition would have been much, much tougher. Yeah. They are working at a very, very high level. Yeah. Very high level.
Doesn't that show you that the game has moved on, that it's evolved, and the standard of operators nowadays, we are a much more professional industry. I always said when I won in 2006 that we were like a 4th division club that won the FA Cup. I do a lot of consultancy and training, and most of it goes through KFE still, who I love. I love working at the KFE school. I get the same sense of satisfaction from it that you did. But the level that operators come into the industry at is probably the levels that I was achieving to win the award back in 2006. The game has, and I don't think it's just legislation. I think people just strive to be better, and equipment has evolved, and the challenges nowadays facing the industry are completely different to what they were in 2005, 2006. When we were winning, we had to get the message about sustainability. We had to get the message out there that fish and chips was actually healthier than what you think it is. They were the things that were really hurting the industry and making people choose alternatives because they thought it was unhealthy and they thought there was no fish left. And they were the things we had to overcome. We've had COVID since then, cost of living crisis, raw material costs. You still run a fish and chip shop, a very successful one, in today's climate, as well as training people. How have you found the evolution process, taking an award-winning shop into another 2-3 decades, and how are you future-proofing what you're doing?
Things have definitely changed within this 30-year period. They super have, and the customers have changed also. So I think that the customers now, they're super sharp, they're value driven, but they're also very quality driven, and they want to know what they're paying for, and that it's whatever we give them, that it's been done right, which is, we go back to consistency again, and training. A lot of the shops now that are doing it right, they're still very busy.
Yeah.
But the ones that aren't doing it right, they're starting to drop off. There's a lot more shops for sale. There's so many shops that have closed.
Yeah.
But you tend to find that sadly they have closed because trade wasn't there, and trade wasn't there because they didn't have practices in place to protect their product, to protect the margins.
Yeah.
And I think that people, since COVID, we have evolved, and for the better in a lot of aspects. However, some people weren't willing to change. They weren't willing to change, and it's getting much tougher now, especially with the cost of the raw materials, with the potatoes and the fish, and you've got to protect your margins, which comes down to training again, because you need to ensure that if you're buying a 9-10 kg block of fish, you need to know that you're going to get 43 fillets out of it and maybe 10 minis, and if you're not getting that, and if you're not even aware of that, then how on earth are you going to survive? How do you calculate your prices?
Yeah.
Your staff's wages, that keeps going up every single year. We pride ourselves that we don't pay the minimum wage, we don't pay a living wage, we pay above that, and that helps us retain the staff. However, you've got to protect your margins to be able to pay that kind of wage.
Yeah, to be a successful operator in today's world, you've got to be more than just a good fish and chip fryer. You've got to be a sharp, smart businessman. You've got to buy right. You've got to manage your raw materials, maintain the quality all the time, keep waste to a minimum. There are so many things that you need to do, as part of your business plan, and you're training people how to do that, in your role as a Frimax ambassador, and also in your in your daily business, doing what you're doing, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. But you've got to be super sharp on all these aspects of your business. It's not just about the fish prep, the potato prep, your customer service. It's also about your oil management. Oil in a way. If we talk about for your frying medium, it's what the customer doesn't see, but they definitely taste it. So without great oil management skills, you might put the best more raw material into that frying medium, but you're serving a product that the customer's forever going to taste because it's poor quality.
Yeah.
The filtration. We are blessed now with the equipment that's available, with the filtration systems, the built-in filtration systems that are in place. That we can take all this carbon out and the starch and etc. out of the oils and purify it.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess when you train somebody how to manage their oils, how to manage their batter, and get their raw materials right, you become part of their success story. You must have like a good list of people you've worked with that keep coming back to you time and time again. How do you manage? I guess that comes down to having Paul there as well in the background to help you. How do you manage to keep all your plates spinning? Because you're also a family man, aren't you? You've got Billy and
Sally,
David.
David.
They're grown up now, I guess. How old's your youngest?
Billy's 22. He has just graduated with his masters in Newcastle for engineering. So thankfully he's finished now. He starts his full-time job in September.
So you've got an empty nest now at home.
Well, Billy's still at home, but he probably will end up living in Manchester when he starts his engineering job. Sally, she's bought her first house. So Sally is a midwife by trade, but she specialises in IVF. Yeah. So she's at a private clinic towards Manchester. And David, the eldest, he's got 3 children, and he's married and works at British Aerospace. Wow. So they've all done really, really well, but there's no chance at the moment of them coming into the business. They've chose their own route, but they've all done really well, and we're super proud. We are super proud.
You've got sheep as well, haven't you? Last time I spoke, you had sheep.
We've got a field where there are sheep in it.
Oh, right.
they're not
your
mine.
sheep.
There's cows there at the moment, which is lovely to watch. Yeah. There's maybe 20 cows there.
Oh, right. Yeah, I thought you actually had sheep as well.
No, I'm not a shepherd, thankfully. I haven't got time for that. But
so when you're not training and you're not fish frying, you do a lot of running, don't you?
I do. I try and escape, and that's my time in a way. It's good. It's good for me. It's good for my health. It's good for my mental health.
Yeah.
And I just like to just take myself off, and that's where a lot of my thoughts come from.
Yeah.
When I'm running, that's where a lot of my ideas come from. I remember running in I forget what year it was, but it was the year of the KFE on a mission.
Yes.
That's where I came up. That's when I came up with the idea of on a mission. It was going to be called because it was in support of the fisherman's mission.
Yeah.
So, but I thought, well, to be fair, we need a sponsor for that. We need somebody to take it and turn it into something big. So first call was put to Paul Williams.
Yeah.
And I said, Paul, what do you think of this? And we could maybe call it KFE on a mission. And Paul just said, absolutely. I will do anything to support that charity.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. So there was 8 of us. You was one of them. Gordon was another. We had Craig Moore that year. He was the He was the
Current champ,
champion.
wasn't
He was, yeah.
Nice guy.
There was Fred. There was Callum. I don't want to miss anybody.
I think Gary Rosser was involved.
Oh, Gary Rosser was involved, yeah. And we all, down to training, we all shared our knowledge and tips and free labour.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get paid, obviously.
No, we gave up our time. The shops paid for charity.
The shops, they contributed towards the charity, and then we all headed from wherever our base was down to South Shields to Coleman's, and we all had an event there, didn't we? Yeah. And we raised 13,500 that year.
Amazing. And you've done. Do you like half marathons, or do you do the full marathon?
Last year I did 2 full marathons.
Wow.
And then ended up with an Achilles injury. But I'm doing the Great North in September. But over the years, I've raised over 30,000 for children with cancer.
Amazing.
I've raised 7,000 for the local charity hospice, which it's not charity, cancer hospice, which is St John's Hospice, and I've raised more than 10,000 for grassroots football.
Yeah,
and it's all through running events. It's all through running.
That's really super cool, man. I used to do marathons, but they changed the name to Snickers, and it's just not the same. I mean, I still do some running. I run a bath now and again, and I run out of money now and again. But no, I dig it. It's super cool that you do that. You're right. It is good for mental health. I do exercise. But running's not for me. I like walking, which is just a slower version of running. I do. I get the mental health side of it. For me, it's a reset. It's a recharge, I like doing that. So you've obviously done all this charity work. I want to talk about something that's very, very raw for you, and that's the loss of your sister Tina. I know that she would have recently had a birthday, and I remember when we recorded the first podcast that she was very, very gravely ill, and she sadly passed away. And I really wanted to give you an opportunity to honour her. I guess that has probably motivated you in many ways to do even more for the charities that you support, to honour her. I just really wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that if you're able to.
Yeah. So it was Tina's birthday on the Saturday just past. And yes, sadly Tina did pass away. She passed away on the 9th of Feb. She was fighting myeloma, but she was fighting the cancer, but she caught sepsis. Well, she caught an infection which turned to sepsis, and that's what took her. She was just too weak to fight it. She was such a lovely woman. She was an amazing sister, and she's missed very, very dearly. She was such a nice person. She was so strong, and she would fight for anything. She supported us through thick and thin. And I'm not just speaking for myself. I'm speaking for my family, for Linda and my children. They all adore her.
Yeah.
And we've got so many fond memories. Last year when we was at the Fish and Chip Awards, we had to leave early because she caught sepsis again, and she spent 55 days in ICU, and that's probably what destroyed her. To be honest with you, she lost so much weight. She wasn't strong enough to fight anything. So we tried to pack as many great memories in as we could. And and you know, she took herself off to Benidorm. We was invited, myself and Linda, and we said, oh no, we couldn't make it because of the shop. So she was going to Benidorm, but we'd surprised her. Me and Linda had flown out.
Lovely.
We got there the day before, and then we asked one of the guests there at the hotel to film it, and we surprised her, jumped out on her, and she broke down. She was so emotional, but we had a great time.
Yeah.
You know, and they're the best memories. And yes, she was way too young to die, but she was super happy.
Yeah.
She was. She was. But she'll
uh,
be missed.
Yeah, I said to you before that grief is just one of those one of the things that there shouldn't never be a time limit on grief. You never, it's a hole that can never be filled, and you can never love somebody as much as you can miss them. However much you think you love someone, you miss them more. And you have my sympathy, mate. I know how much she meant to you, and as do all your family. So you've got these wonderful kids, wonderful wife, wonderful home. After sacrificing it, lovely business. The future's challenging in this industry, but you, what's going to happen to you when you decide you want to hang up your apron? Where, do you have an exit strategy? Because when we come into this business, we're young, we have the world at our feet, we've got hunger, we have determination, we want to be great providers, and we go out and we do all these things, we get the spoils of success, we put in the hard work, we get a few grey hairs, some of us get a few spare tyres, but none of us really think about the passing of time and what we're going to do when we come to the end of our working lives. Have you got a plan? Have you got a strategy?
We haven't got a plan, to be fair, and I think we're blessed in that way, because we really, really enjoy what we do. I've got a nice balance. Obviously, I do the training, which I really enjoy. We've got a shop that is busy. We've got a great team there. I think eventually, we'll probably try and take a step back and leave it to the team. But I think we just really enjoy what we do. So going forward, I'm only 53, so I think we've still got quite a few years left in us.
Yeah. And you're a young 53 because you do all this bloody running and you keep yourself fit and
yeah.
So
yeah.
you think you maybe the grandchildren might have you got your eye on a particular grandchild you think might make a promising Frier?
Not yet. Well, let's see how things develop. You don't know what the future holds, do you?
No, you don't. But I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you to tell me and the listener what you think the future holds for fish and chips.
I think the future for fish and chips is still very strong, and the shops that do it well, with great practices in place, will survive and remain strong. I think, I'll be honest with you, my opinion is that some will definitely fall off again.
Yeah.
That don't want to push forward, that aren't willing to invest. If they wanted to invest in training, in equipment, in their business, I think they'll secure it. I really, really do. But the ones that aren't interested in that and are maybe looking for an easy few years, I think they're going to have a tough few years ahead, especially with the price of the raw materials going, the way that they're going. So I think the future is good, but I don't think there will be as many fish and chip shops within our industry.
Do you think it's always, it's always going to remain a working class man's lunch, or do you think it's going to become one of those places where, one of those meals that people have, more as a an out treat, where you actually dress up and go out for a fish and chip meal? Is it going to come out of the high street and go posh, or do you think it's going to remain? Because I still think a portion of fish and chips is pretty much equivalent to an hour's pay, which is what it was when you and I started. But we're definitely down from the 1940s and 50s, where you had 60,000 fish and chip shops. Down to the 80s and 90s, where 10,000-15,000 shops. We've got to be below 8,000 shops by now, surely. I mean, the number 10,000 still kicks around, but I don't think there's that many chippies around. Do you see more shops falling by the wayside and it becoming more specialised, more?
I think I still think yes, definitely more shops will close, and they'll turn into different cuisines, which is typically the trend. But I still think that fish and chips, especially if you keep offering the smaller portions, the light bites. I think if you just keep pushing that, I think people will it's still within their budget. And what you get, the quality of food that you get, the level of protein that you get, compared to carbs and everything, it's really, really good value for money.
Because there has been a portion creep, hasn't there? I think portions have got bigger over the years, and we need to dial that back again. I think the light bite is probably what my parents, and I had this conversation with Graham Reed Stevenson quite recently as well, from Fisherman's Wife in Whitby. He remembers getting 45 pieces to a slab, a 3 ounce piece, and that was a regular when he started. And I think dialing back to the light bite or the mini fish meal, whatever you want to call it, is a bit of a reset for our industry, and also I think consumers, it then remains an affordable meal that you can eat, not as a treat but just as a meal replacement, so that you don't have to cook and you can get the kids to an after school club, or you can it's always going to remain that sort of midweek treat, weekend treat, that it's always been. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I fully agree with it, and I still think it's affordable.
It is.
I still, and I'm still proud to be part of this industry. I think it's a great industry to be in. And if you look at our competitors, I think we're always at the top. Nobody can compete with the great taste of fish and chips and the nutritional values that we offer if it's done correctly. Yeah. But if it is done correctly, then shout about it. Promote yourself in a positive way. Give them the nutritional values, give them the fat content, give them that true comparison of the other competitors. And I think we'll always win, but we need to be doing it correctly.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Cod, whitefish has typically 29 grams of protein per 100. Chicken has 32, 33. So, but it's got a lower fat content than chicken. The fact that we encase it in batter and fry it in oil is irrelevant when it's done properly, because the fat saturation on it is so low that it's a healthy option when you compare fish and chips and its calorie count and fat content. When you compare it pretty much to anything else, fish and chips actually comes out on top, but it still gets this bashing from the media, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because there's it's because it's such a diluted brand. There's it becomes really hard to protect that brand, because we're all promoting ourselves, our own names. Nobody's actually sticking up for fish and chips. Well, I say nobody, that's not strictly true. We have trade bodies and organisations that are doing the very best they can. But it's you're right. Getting the job right in the first place, and then shouting about it is the key to the continued success of fish and chips.
Yeah, I strongly believe that, and I think if you get it right and you've got something to shout about in a positive way, then shout about it. as much as you possibly can, because it's so good for the industry, and our industry is amazing. Yes, we are blessed financially from the industry, but we've worked very hard for it.
Yeah.
However, get it right. Just if you're going to go to work every day, you might as well do it right.
It sounds like a really simple thing to do, the way you say it, because I know you. I know that's what you do every single day. You go and you get it right. But for you to sit and say it, people must be like listening to it saying, "Oh, I wish it was that easy." But in your world, it's that easy.
Yeah, and it frustrates me when people don't do it right, because I think, look, you're missing out on this. You're missing out on such a luxury business.
Yeah.
And you'll enjoy it much more.
So if people want to come out and find out a bit more about you or get in touch with you, tell us. You've got a Facebook page, you've got a website. It's all Hodgsons.
It's hodgsonschippy.com.
Yeah, Hodgsons.
The hodgsonschippy.com. There's an email there. You can contact me through Facebook, our social media sites, and reach out. And if you need any help, if I can help you, I will. Over the years, I've helped well over 1,000 operators. And gosh knows how many students we used to teach at this training school. We had some good times, but we taught some really, really good students.
Yeah.
We had some good times, yourself and Gordon. He could swear a lot, Gordon, couldn't he?
He could, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not diluted. He was swearing like a trooper today.
Yeah. Shall we say he's very honest?
He's very, you know where you are with him.
He's very direct. I still do I do one-to-ones on my own, of course, but when we have groups in, I always do them with Gordon, and I love it. And there was one particular section of training where we used to sort of always clash, because it's a very individual thing, and funny enough, it was oil management, because he will cascade oil in one direction, I will cascade it in another one, and it's very site specific. But what we actually did over the years was agree where the common ground was, because we don't make clones of me or clones of you with our students. We teach best practice, don't we?
Yeah.
And when you teach best practice, there has to be this this common ground. And Gordon and I actually developed a system with oil management that says, instead of I do it this way, he does it that way, it's we are trying to achieve this. This is what your end goal is. This is what you are striving for. And we come at it from that angle. And the way that we teach oil management now is so much better for it, because they get the benefit of both our experience, but the end goal is having that consistency that you talk about, giving people that same product, whether it's last thing on a Monday night or in the middle of a Friday shift. You're able to produce that pan perfect portion, and manage your oil so that you're delivering the same product time after time after time, keeping waste down as well. And that might be how many pans you have on for the shift, the level that you have in your pans. There are so many techniques and practices that you can use in managing your oil. So instead of me saying, well, I do it this way, and Gordon saying, swear word, I do it this way. we both now say, this is what you need to strive for. This is what you need to try and achieve. And I love Gordon for that, because he's into his training in such a big way as well. And he's actually quite wordy. He likes documenting stuff as well, which I'm not for that either
Yeah,
these days.
no, you both got a heck of a lot of knowledge. The school is fortunate to have you. And that knowledge is exceptional.
Well, I am. I think I've got a couple of years left, and then for me, I want to do more writing, and maybe a little less training. But I love working with KFE at the flying school, and as long as they keep throwing students at me, certainly for the foreseeable, I'm gonna keep doing it. And it looks like you're going to be doing the same from up north. Is there anybody that you want to recognise? I want to give you the final word. Is there anyone you want to recognise or say has had a massive influence on you before we end? Because I think we've got enough for an episode here.
Yeah. I've always been a massive believer of surrounding yourself with good people. I'm a very loyal person anyway, which you know that.
Yeah.
I don't switch around with suppliers. If the service is good, if the product is great, then I've been with suppliers for 28 years now.
Yeah.
And I just surround myself with good people. I've got a lot of good suppliers. You got Whitley's, a super family business, great company, great products. The service they provide is exceptional. Obviously KFE, which we've got relationships with because I've always had their equipment, and my potato suppliers. So I just always any raw materials I just surround myself with really, really good suppliers, good people, and obviously, with the good team as well. We don't have a high staff turnover.
No, I saw you say goodbye to a member of staff who'd been with you for a really long time recently on Facebook.
Yeah, Karen, she'd been with us for 18 years, and she's ended up moving house. So logistically, it's just too far for her to travel in.
Yeah.
So 18 years she's been with us.
Lovely that.
It was just amazing. So
when you say goodbye to somebody like that, you still know that in an absolute crisis emergency, she'd come back just for a shift. And
she's told us that. She says just don't hesitate, give me a shout. So she's definitely still on speed dial, to be fair. But listen, the biggest one I want to say thank you. You know who that's going to be. That is definitely Linda.
Yeah.
She's been the strength behind it all. Typically, it's always my face, it's always my voice. However, she's the backbone of it all. She's the one that keeps keeping it going behind the scenes, raising the family, managing the chaos, holding us steady.
Yeah.
Which she's super cool at that. Financially, she's so savvy with money. And we just don't get ourselves into financial difficulties because she's super good with money.
She even, when you're staying away, she'll book taxis for you and stuff like that as well. I've been out with you and you've phoned her from the restaurant because you don't know what starter to have.
This was mentioned today by Gordon as well, to be fair. And yes, she does look after me, to be honest with you. And if I'm unsure what to eat or what to order, she does get a screenshot of the menu and she'll choose it for me. And I have been on numerous nights out with yourself, and I didn't know where the taxi rank was, so I rang her and she got me a taxi. So it's out there.
It's out there now. And we're not even going to talk about what happened at the Chippy Chat Ball. We won't mention that.
Me turning up without my trousers. We might as well finish on that if you want.
Yeah, well, okay, let's finish on that. Chippy Chat Ball. I wanted as many previous winners there as possible. I begged you to come. You turned up. You brought your suit. You didn't have any trousers. So I I contacted Stacey, who was the banqueting manager at the Hilton in Coventry, and I said to Stacey, I need a man with, you must have a waiter who's a size 34 waist. I think you were 34 waist, with a long leg, with a long leg. And she went and she found a waiter, and I said to her, can you manage without him tonight? And I paid him to go home, and I said, I'll buy your trousers off you for 50 quid. I've got a very important guest that I need in that room wearing trousers. And I bought the waiter's trousers off him. And you did go to the ball.
I did go to the ball. Yeah. And they were pretty smart trousers, to be fair. So thank you.
You're welcome. Listen, I really enjoyed having this catch up. It's always a privilege for me to be in your company, because I admire you so much as an operator and as a friend and as a person. Thank you for giving me the time twice, and I can't wait to be actually physically in your company again, and maybe even buying you a pint.
Lovely talking to you, Mark. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
And that's a wrap for today's episode with Mark Petrou and Nigel Hodgson. A story of grit, graft, and absolutely getting it right. We'd love to hear your take. Join the conversation on the Ceres Podcast Facebook group. And don't forget, grab our free calculators to help you tighten up your numbers. Check out the Ceres blog for daily and weekly insights on loads of things that could affect your business, whether that's cost control, loyalty, customers coming back, energy, and more. Thank you for listening. Keep your pans firing up, your margins sharp, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Ceres Podcast.